What is the purpose of the law? We'll explore that and more on today's edition of Life Matters. Brian Johnston has served in many capacities while advocating for innocent lives, as the Western Director of the National Right to Life Committee, as California Commissioner on Aging, as Chairman of the California Pro-Life Council, on the board of the National Legal Center for the Medically Dependent and Disabled. And now here's our host, Brian Johnston.
Well, hello and welcome back to Life Matters. We're your program on the right to life, on what it really is, because it's a very specific thing. It is an assertion that America's founders made at America's founding on the principles that America was to be built on. It's an assertion from natural law philosophy, revealed in nature, in the laws of nature and of nature's God, a self-evident truth. It is the first of the enumerated and pronounced self-evident truths that we have a right to life, that each of us as individuals are endowed by a creator with the right to life. That's where we get this idea. So we have to examine it carefully. Obviously, America's founders did, and we're going to talk a lot about America's founding and about American politics. And today's program, I'm focusing on the nature of the battle of ideas. And those of you who listen often to Life Matters know that there's a battle raging around us. It's a battle of ideas, and lives are truly at stake in this battle. So as we go into this, we're going to explain the nature of this battle when it comes to public policy. And today in particular, I'm going to focus on the two. There are two, but today I'm going to focus on just one of the major political parties, the Democrat Party. Yes, the Democrat Party. And I'm going to point you out to some of its rather colorful history. I know many Democrats, and I know many classical Democrats. Classically, the Democrat Party actually had been pro-life. Today, it is not. There's a reason for that. It's been taken over, by and large, by people who view the Democrat principles as mass movement, majoritarian. If you can get the most votes, you can write the laws. You can make the rules. You can be accountable to yourself under the Democrat principles of pure democracy, where majority rules. And of course, the idea of pure democracy, and we hear that a lot today, we're losing our democracy. Well, democracy goes back at least to the time of Pericles and the ancient Greeks. And it was a problem, because it is, in a sense, getting everybody to vote, and everybody has equal power, but then it's the majority, and the majority then determines what the laws will be. Therefore, if you can get a hold of people's opinions and influence the opinions, you have a situation where majority rules, and if you can control the opinions of that majority, well, then you get to rule. And that's happened at times in America's past. I'm going to bring a book out here. The book is called Machine Made. It's a history book about American history, about a very important aspect of American history. This is Machine Made. It's the story of Tammany Hall and the creation of modern American politics. That's the subtitle. It's written by Terry Golway. Now, Terry Golway is a Democrat. He's actually a Democrat activist and writer. He's written many, many books and is often in New York Times, other places like that. I do recommend it if you're interested in American history. Machine Made, and of course, it's talking about machine politics. Some of you who remember your American history from high school, hopefully you had a good teacher, but Tammany Hall and Boss Tweed ran New York politics for many years, and in fact, went on to run New York state politics and became the model. And as Terry Golway says, it is the model the Democrat Party is using today. And Tammany Hall still exists today in New York City as a group of unions and a voting bloc of Democrats in New York. So it's an important thing to know about contemporary. The reason you study history is so you can understand the present moment. So we're going to go into that. And when we come back, we're going to examine what it means right now, how politics is working right now, how the corruption of Boss Tweed, and Boss Tweed didn't mind being corrupt. Again, go back in your own memory if you want to, or go back and read the history. Again, this is a very important, and I think an unalloyed, honest look at Democrat Party machinery. Even Terry Golway says, this is how the Democrat Party operates today. Understand that. And getting ballots at any cost is what they do. I'm Irish. Many of you know this. When we come back, I'll explain why I am personally offended and how Tammany Hall used Irish people and their sense of Irish identity. And they used it as a political weapon for their own purposes and for corrupt purposes. That's the story of Tammany Hall. So when we come back, we'll talk about what the Irish have to do with this, how I'm offended, but how you should also be offended and be aware of how politics really works, particularly machine politics, and the fact that machine-made is the basis for the Democrat Party right now. We'll be right back after this.
Life Matters continues after this.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, CEO of MyPillow. I support this show, and I would like to offer you our biggest discounts for listening. So please go to our website, mypillow.com, and put in the promo code at the end of this message to get the biggest discounts. Again, thanks for listening, and God bless.
And that promo code is LIFE. All caps, L-I-F-E, LIFE. So go to MyPillow, put in the promo code LIFE, and you'll get some wonderful discounts because Mike Lindell believes in you and in Life Matters. And that promo code is LIFE, L-I-F-E, LIFE. You know, it's pretty flattering when someone contacts you. Mike Lindell has made the life issue his number one issue. Everybody knows about Mike, and most people know that the issue of life, protecting innocent life, is his number one issue, and he likes Life Matters. I want to tell you, yes, I have supported MyPillow. Mike has supported us, but I want to tell you more because it's not just the pillow and the sheets. We have those. I have the towels. They work. They're real cotton. It really is a benefit. It's a blessing to have real products that are made in America. But I want to tell you more because you may know about MyPillow, but do you know about My Store? Mike has so many products. If you go to mystore.com, you will see the many, many other products. Everything. Let me just give you a list of the categories. Automotive products. That's right. Everybody's got a car, and there's a lot of things you need for your car. Obviously, bath products, but beauty products, books and videos, clothing, decor, food and drink. And I'll take a moment now. I got Mike's coffee. I'm a coffee connoisseur myself. And I got his drip brand coffee, but there's many different types of coffee. He's got other folks' coffee as well. If you have coffee pods, if you've got a Keurig and you need pods, he's got those. He's got other products, Split Rock coffee, Pillars of Patriot coffee, but I actually use Mike's coffee and it's good. I just get the drip roast. I'm old-fashioned that way and I use a cone filter. But that's just one of many food products that Mike offers at My Store. And if you use the promo code LIFE, L-I-F-E, it supports Life Matters. It helps keep us on the air. So he's doing a good thing for America. You know that. You can't go very far on television or radio and not hear about Mike Lindell. But there's other products, again, at My Store, at mystore.com. Kitchen and dining products, household essentials. There are, of course, patriotic products, religious products, toys and games, home improvement products. Go to mystore.com, use the promo code LIFE, L-I-F-E. And again, a special thanks to Mike Lindell. You know, Mike Lindell has really, like our founders, he's pledged his life, his fortune, and his sacred honor to uphold our Constitution. That's a very American thing to do. So I appreciate Mike Lindell, and he appreciates you if you believe in the right to life. What we do at Life Matters, we want to equip you with a deeper and practical understanding of what the right to life is and what you can do about it. And Mike Lindell believes in that. So go to mystore.com, not just MyPillow, but at mystore.com, enter the promo code LIFE, L-I-F-E. That helps Life Matters, it helps America, it helps Mike Lindell, and it helps our nation move forward for life.
And now back to more Life Matters with Brian Johnston.
Okay, well, we're back. And what we're talking about is, as many of you know, I'm Irish. My parents came to California in 1949. I then was born in 1955. So they came to California after the war, after World War II. If you knew American history and world history, the Irish did not get any support because they were neutral in World War II. The Marshall Plan helped both warring sides. Both sides of Europe were rebuilt by the Americans through the Marshall Plan. But if you're a neutral country like Switzerland or Spain, they were neutral, or Ireland, you didn't get a nickel. And so things were pretty tough in Ireland. My folks came as immigrants in 1949 after World War II. Many of you know that Irish came to California about 100 years before that in droves. They came for gold, and that's why they called them the 49ers. People came from around the world, but a lot of them were Irish. Part of it, I think, is because the Irish love the sea, and they were already in the boats. They said, hey, if you get to California, let's hop the ship and go for gold. And there's actually Irish songs about that. But the Irish were the backbone of New York politics even before that, before the gold rush, because of the famous potato famine. Many emigrated to America. They went around the world, but particularly to America. And in New York, the political people said, here's a group of votes. Here's a political group, and I'll be perfectly honest, a racial group that we can use. We will use them and their sense of identity, and we'll keep them together. And literally, as the Irish came off the boat in New York, and again, this is before the Civil War, but as they came from the potato famine, as they came to New York was the center of the world. You went to New York instead of London if you're Irish. But New York became the hub, and the Irish were used. Their race was used. Their race was invoked. Oh, the Irish have been oppressed. We must rise up. Very, very common to use racial politics, tribal politics, and the Democrat Party has done that and does it now. They use group or tribal politics, and they have a machine. This book explains that machine. It goes way back. Now, there's a distinction between the Democrat Party and the Republican Party. I mentioned earlier, it goes all the way back to Pericles. Democrats say, if you have the votes and the majority decide something, that's what the law is. But there's a different view of both politics and the law, which also comes from ancient times and all the way up to the present. And I want to refer to it from the beginning of our discussion in the right to life. It's called natural law. Now, understand natural law is referring to the fact that nature itself is ordered. We live in an ordered universe, and nature has order. And if you want to live together in society, you want your society to have order. So you follow the principles of the laws of nature and nature's God. Some people confuse natural law with the law of natural selection. They've been to high school in America, and they haven't heard much about natural law theory, even though America's built on it. They've heard about the laws of natural selection and about how we came from lizards that crawled out of the sea and natural selection and the survival of the fittest. They confused the principles of natural law, which all of our founders asserted as the way to find truth. We've been given life by our Creator, not by the government. We've been given the gift of life. The best way to understand how to live life is to look at the principles that govern nature and should govern human interaction. That's the principles of natural law. It's been respected throughout history, going back to the Greeks and Romans, and it's the basis for a republic. A republic says it isn't enough that people should vote. It's great that people can vote. And in America, we vote. But we vote for representatives. And those representatives themselves are held accountable to a higher law. So they just can't do whatever they want because they're elected. It isn't pure democracy. It isn't the fact that you won an election. There's a higher law, a constitution now, that holds them accountable. So this principle of higher law reflects the values of the Republican Party. And in a republic, you elect people to make important decisions. And they're accountable to higher principles. That's what a republic does. That's what a constitution does. And even in a constitutional monarchy, you have a form of republic. Think of England, the parliament. They're elected to parliament, but there's a higher law, and it's not just the king. Symbolically, the king, now it's Charles III. Symbolically, he has authority, but he is there as a symbolic representative of the state, and they function under a constitutional monarchy, that there's higher law. So it isn't a pure democracy. Very quickly, that's the summation, that's the difference between a democracy and a republic. There's higher law that's invoked in a republic, to whom we are all accountable to this higher law. The laws of nature and nature's God, that is a self-evident truth. Those of you Christians know that that's what the book of Romans is all about. It's an incredible expose of natural law, that God has revealed himself in nature and his principles of how to live, that they're revealed in nature. The Apostle Paul, who we presume is the author of Romans, explains it in detail, that natural law, and we're all accountable to knowing that there's a God because he's revealed himself in nature. And that's what America's founders said too, that there's order to the universe. We have a creator and we see it in nature. That's what America's founders said. That's why we have a republic, if you can keep it. Those are the words of Franklin. He was asked after that first convention, what have you given us? And he told the woman asking him, ma'am, we've given you a republic, if you can keep it. So I'm talking right now, those of you who are just joining us, we're talking about a book called Machine Made. It's an incredible expose of the corruption of New York. My personal offense is they used Irish people. They used race and the identity of what is called tribalism. My people, I'm voting for my people. You got to do that. And they were openly corrupt in getting their votes. Boss Tweed, again, it's known as the house that Tweed built. And literally the Democrat Convention of 1868 was held in the house that Tweed built in New York City. The convention for the Democrat Party was held under the auspice of Boss Tweed. Please understand who Boss Tweed was and how he used groupthink, how he used race, how he used the Irish to have their way, and were openly corrupt. And Tweed was eventually held accountable for corruption, but he wasn't ashamed of it. He wanted to win elections, so getting votes, what you now call ballot harvesting, they basically would say, well, just give us your ballots. They would mail out ballots. They'd hand them out and say, just sign it and give it back to me.
We'll fill out the rest for you now. Don't worry, we know the local politics and we'll do what's best for the Irish.
And their poll workers for Boss Tweed's machine would just collect ballots in bushel baskets. Later on in America, the tradition came that, no, you need to vote. It's your vote. You need to personally go down and vote. Well, that's a very Republican idea. Today, the idea, oh, no, just collect it by bushel baskets. Just get groups together. Just bring tribalism in. And in fact, if you're not sure that person's still alive, collect those ballots anyways. That did happen. And when we come back another time, we'll talk about why this is still a concern right now, why history is alive today and political corruption is very much alive today. Groupthink is alive today. The use of tribalism and race as a political tool is very much alive today. And if you're not aware of it, be aware of it. So there are a lot of other aspects of politics we can talk about. When we come back next time on Life Matters, we're going to talk about what you can do about it. It's important to have knowledge. It's important to have faith. Many pro-life people I know are people of faith, and that's a good thing. The problem is they don't apply knowledge to their faith. And in the book of Peter, many of you know Peter and who Peter was. Well, in the books of Peter, he says you have to add knowledge, understanding to your faith and virtue. So just believing is important. If you're a Christian, I'm glad that you're a Christian, that you believe. But you must add knowledge. You must apply your faith and have understanding of how it works. So particularly because ideas are spiritual things. We've talked about it another time, but if you're a Christian, the realm of ideas are critically important. As I began today's program, you're in a battle of ideas right now. It's raging. You must understand them. You must understand your place in that battle and how to apply these principles. That's why Life Matters is here. That's why I'm glad to be your host. I'm Brian Johnston. You can read more about me other places, but make sure that you're engaged. Make sure that if you are a Christian, that you understand the height and depth, warp and woof, that you understand the entire fabric of your faith and how it applies. It's just not feelings. And sadly, a lot of politics avoids principles now. And many churches that I've visited, they don't apply principles. They apply feelings and get you to think and feel a certain way without fully understanding the principles at stake. Again, for Christians out there, read the book of Romans. That's a great start. The book of Hebrews is another, where it's not just about feelings. There are principles that have been followed and need to be followed if you really do want to walk in faith. It's a walk of faith. It's not a leap of faith. So welcome to life. Welcome to Life Matters. Thank you for tuning in. We appreciate your support and your involvement. That's why we're here, to make a difference for life and to make a difference in your life. When we come back, we're going to talk about that.
Life Matters continues after this.
Are you willing to step up to be a lifeguard? We're asking you to consider becoming a Life Matters lifeguard. On Life Matters, we cut to the depths of this cultural battle of ideas that has robbed America of its core values and robbed the innocent of their right to life. Anything you can pledge is appreciated. But if you pledge $19 a month, we will make you part of the Life Matters lifeguard team, getting you the important tools and dynamic information to help save lives and encourage others in understanding the lurking dangers in today's deadly cross currents of culture. Your pledge helps us with our costs of broadcast. It keeps the full understanding of the right to life going out over our numerous radio stations, and also facilitates the important podcast that carries even more programming. Please go to the front page of the Life Matters website and click on the donate button. Your donation is deeply appreciated.
If you have questions or comments for Life Matters, call 800-924-2490. Give us your name and the town you're calling from and a quick question or comment.
Okay, let's talk about the key takeaways from our discussion today of democracy, how it works, and how a pure democracy opens up the opportunity for abuse. We are looking at the book called Machine Made, written by a Democrat, a modern-day Democrat. You can get it at Amazon. It'll open your eyes to the history of machine politics. And Mr. Golway, who wrote it, is very clear. As a Democrat, he said, this is the model that modern Democrats use to win elections. Very important that you understand that these are objective facts. However, as I mentioned, pure democracy is very, very dangerous. And if you'd like to read about how we need a republic, if you're familiar with James Madison wrote eloquently in the Federalist Papers. Now remember, when we formed our nation, I want to remind you of your history, it was widely debated what kind of government should we have. So the Federalist Papers were published in every newspaper so that it could be examined and discussed. And in Federalist 14, Madison clearly makes the distinctions that I have just made for you today. So I'm not making it up. Pure democracy is rife with problems and abuse. Pure democracy allows anyone who can control the opinions of a group of people. If they bring it to a vote and win the vote, they now have all power. And that's extremely dangerous in a pure democracy. So that's Federalist Papers number 14. Make sure you go back and read that. You can Google it now. That's what I like about technology. You don't have to look it up in your encyclopedia on the shelf. You literally can Google it, and many of you on your phones can Google the Federalist Papers. So Federalist 14 explains why we have a republic as a form of government. Again, I want to reiterate, if you're a registered Democrat, that doesn't make you evil. If you're a registered Republican, you're not somehow virtuous. I'm talking about the form of government and why we have a very particular form of government that needs to hold accountable those in authority. Extremely important that you understand that and that we continue to preserve our republic while we have it. If you'd like more information on other aspects of this, a great contemporary writer is Thomas Sowell, Sowell. And he is a brilliant writer. He's actually a former communist, but looked at it very deeply and has changed his ways. Again, communism is, again, a form of mass groupthink, group decisions. And if you can control the group and then seize power, now you have complete power. So that was one of the reasons Thomas Sowell moved away from communism, but he's a brilliant writer, and anything written by Thomas Sowell, he's got a shelf of books. Thomas Sowell, Sowell. He describes the battles we're in right now, the battle for the mind, the battle for ideas, the battle for your form of governments, and the battle for the law. Extremely important. So it's important to recognize not that Republicans are better than Democrats, but that the republic is a better form of government as we move forward, because I personally believe it's at risk right now. And that's why it's important to be equipped with the facts to understand what you can do about it. If you'd like to help Life Matters, go to lifematters.life. That's www.lifematters.life. You can pledge there. And if you have a car you want to donate, you've heard about that, but you can also donate cars to help us stay on the air, and we want to encourage you. So go to californiaprolife.org to find out about Car Easy. But we want to thank you for staying in the fight, for the battle of ideas and the battle for innocent lives.
Learn more about everything in today's show online at lifematters.life, where you'll find all the resources you need to protect life. Life Matters is a production of the California Pro-Life Council.